Thursday, November 18, 1999, of Disney sing-along song Circle of Life.
This week, Siskel and Ebert review Kevin Bacon hijacking Meryl Streep's family vacation in the River Wild. Johnny Depp plays Hollywood's worst director, Ed Wood. And Albert Brooks discovers baseball phenom Brendan Fraser in The Scout.
I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
You have. I should very much like to have this. I used to have the white queen now. Poor dear, her head is so small. Tiny. Pimple of a head. Alice.
Johnny Depp and Tim Burton team up for the 6th time in Alice in Wonderland.
It's one of 5 new movies to be reviewed this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone, on a real comedy, and a personality. Starting with Michael Phillips and A.O. Tony Scott, and Miggy, and Michaela Perella, plus an internet and exclusive from our web exclusive, and also the comedy. He's starring Richard Gere and a one big personality. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune, and I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
There is something so inevitable about the fantasy-mad director Tim Burton getting around to doing a film version of Alice in Wonderland that you actually have to remind yourself
new Disney 3D Alice
he hasn't made
Tim Burton's most interesting film.
This is an extravagant rendition
the
of
idea here is that Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, girl, either in her dreams or in actuality.
While Johnny Depp receives top billing as the Mad Hatter, the real casting favor here is Neil Wasikowska, who plays Alice, and who keeps an uneven but often dazzling picture floating away on a cloud of surreal 3D fantasy. For once, the framing device, the non-Lewis Carroll material, in other words, actually works in this adaptation of a beloved but tricky children's classic. Now, the Alice in Burton's film, which has been adapted by Linda Wolverton, is nearly 20 years old and about to be married off to a most unworthy Victorian suitor. These introductory scenes are quite droll and very nicely detailed. Soon enough, Alice spies an old acquaintance from her childhood dreams, or maybe her reality. It's a white rabbit with a snappy vest and a pocket watch. In a hurry, swoop goes Alice down the rabbit hole. And what does she find there? Well, she finds Tweedledee and Tweedledum and a Danny Elfman musical score that sounds a lot like the other Danny Elfman scores we've heard. This all takes place in not Wonderland, but a place called Underland. And there, the tyrannical Red Queen, played by Helena Bonham Carter, has run things into the ground. It's up to Alice and the Mad Hatter to restore rule to the more beneficent White Queen, played by Anne Hathaway.
That should do it.
You have to approach this picture as a big-budget corporate entertainment with enough semblance of a directorial personality to make it interesting. I like the film, and along with Sweeney Todd, this is certainly Burton's most interesting work in what has been a pretty uneven decade. Be warned, though, it's probably not for most preteens, and the film is deliberately not all that funny. Burton's eccentric and highly decorative sensibility does, however, take Alice herself quite seriously in a good way.
Hey, for years since Jermaine with the personality with accomplishment and a real personality, and
Actually, that was quite easy, Don. I want you to know. So first, it looks like there's going to be a set of 3 more Star Wars movies that take place before the 3 we've seen. And then, at the end of the century, isn't that wonderful to stick around for? 3 more, ending with Luke becoming a father.
And it's a real personality for a comedy starring the richer accomplishment and a real personality, but...
In part 2 of our preview, we'll talk some more with Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, and also Anthony Daniels, the English actor inside that golden android C-3PO. And they have some surprising complaints about working in the successful Star Wars movies. That's part 2 of Jedi, tomorrow night at 10.
Yeah, the show is a 2-hour show. It is a live show every day, Monday through Friday. And it is a little bit like Pinterest on television. It is how-to things. It's how to, like I always kind of joke when I say this, but it's where a lot of what we see and celebrate tonight is about escaping your life and going on a journey with the actor through what this particular experience must have been, whether it's a Captain Phillips or 12 Years a Slave, whatever it may be, and you begin to have that. Where our show now teaches you how to stay in your life and live your life better
Yeah.
and have a more rewarding
Exactly.
experience on how you can save money, how you can
Good for you.
benefit from all the stuff that you have and raising your kids and things like that. So I
Exactly.
love that aspect of my show.
Yeah, exactly. And the film has been blessed to the movie. This film was Johnny Depp and the real personality for the movie who call us a little bit. But
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it especially for the Tim Burton aspect.
Jerry Seinfeld and Jerry Springer, Rosie Monday at 4.
The odd creatures and characters that populate this dream world. And I think he used the performer, some of his stock Bob Carter and Johnny Depp to really
Oh, Tony.
And I think he also uses 3D. I mean, this is not a in-your-face flying off the screen 3D spectacle. He does use it to kind of to deepen the field a little bit and make this world seem a little more kind of full and detailed and strange.
Right, I think this is one of the few adaptations of an often filmed classic that when you're looking at all the backstory and framing devices added by the screenwriter in this case, most of it actually really helps the story. I think the whole prelude where you see this sort of stultifying Victorian life that young Alice is trying to get away from, that actually works and supports everybody's experience of the film. There's a line in the book about Alice's muchness, and that's also in the film. And I think the film's kind of a war between Alice's muchness and Tim Burton's too muchness. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think more it's a war between Tim Burton's eccentricity and the kind of the some of the standard, motifs and conventions of the kids' fantasy action movies. So when they get down into this underworld place, Underland, you have Crispin Glover and Helena Bonham Carter are the bad guys, and Anne Hathaway is the good guy, and you have what felt to me like a very familiar battle between good and evil, climaxing in a big battle sequence with this huge Jabberwock monster.
And Tim Burton is not good at that. Exactly. It's like Tim Burton taking on Planet of the Apes. He had no real facility for that stuff, and I agree that's the weak stuff in it. But I think what you have is you have a good performance right at the middle of it, and that kind of cuts through a lot of the potential excess, and it keeps you through it.
It does, and it has at its best, I think, a sort of a quiet, creepy, funny, slightly grotesque, maybe for some young kids, somewhat disturbing
older kids,
but a really interesting.
Yeah, good. I like it better than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory too.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay. Hey, next film. Now this one a little bit changes to do. It's
The Apes isn't a remake of the 1968 sci-fi classic. It's an incredible reimagining of the story as it opens through the brilliant mind of director Tim Burton. This is one great-looking movie filled with exciting action scenes, hilarious inside jokes, and some surprisingly strong performances given the challenges of the near camping material and the layers of makeup involved. The lead human is Mark Wahlberg as Captain Leo Davidson, whose pod crash lands in a swamp, but that's the least of his problems. and Carter are truly amazing, using their eyes and voices to convey their superior intelligence while they move about in an undeniably simian manner. There's also a nifty cameo by a legendary star. Planet of the Apes isn't just worthy of comparison to the original, I think it's better.
Conscious into vivid and surprising imagery. There's a lot to see in this movie, and you should see it.
I say see it too. I don't think it's the best blockbuster this summer.
Skip it.
In a decade, the longest Sweeney Todd.
Zero in on Mark Wahlberg and the other
that has been
I think they
tackled
spent
in
a lot of time
a couple
making
of books
the
by
Apes
Miss Carroll that have
into
been
interesting
tackled
characters, and they
many
succeeded
times over the years.
They look great, and
they're
they
never
are
fully
very
solved
convincing
because
as
the books are
characters,
so
although
non-narrative oriented. They're much more riddled with language, obsessed.
And this movie,
I don't think that's
and this
when she walks into the script of this movie, Tim Roth's character at one point, she's not see her coming around like this too much. Well, no, she's somewhere in between that.
The Cheshire Cat, the Red Queen, the White Queen, the Caterpillar, the March Hare, and everybody.
He seems
there is what feels like a much more kind of
he can't wait to get off of that fantasy. He has he's going on with a love triangle there. He has Estella Warren and Helena Bonham Carter both interested in him, and all he wants to do is get in this pod and go back into who knows where. I don't want to give away too much of the movie, but if I were him, I would stay on that planet because he has better chances there.
I would give you that. I also use 3D to sort of deepen and extend this world a little bit,
energy and the joy and
enrich it. But what you say about the casting, I think, is absolutely true.
For the hero of this movie,
Collaboration between Depp and Burton at the time is Johnny Depp not the least likely character actor in the world.
Well, it's so funny how he's become a huge movie star on the basis of these eccentric character performances, like Jack Sparrow. But I think that Johnny Depp, he was always so good looking and so charismatic. He could have gone the kind of the straight down the middle movie star route, and he chose not to. And I think one of the directors who really saw his oddness and
was
his
Burton.
eccentricity was Burton in Edward Scissorhands, and then certainly in Ed Wood.
Well, that to me, that's the best. I mean, you can't. That movie compares to no other film really, because it's one of my favorite biographies of any kind. But the work Depp is doing in Ed Wood with Burton, that is some of the wittiest.
Yes.
It is absolutely a one-joke performance, and it is so beautifully sustained. You can't believe he's pulling it off.
You're the file clerk. You're running into the next room when you bump into Janet.
Well, what is our relationship? Are we good friends, or is she just a casual acquaintance?
Dolores, I have 5 days to complete this picture. Don't get goofy on me.
And he takes the same kind of risk. Doesn't quite pull off at all with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where you have an actor under a director like Burton, who's encouraging him to go all the way out on the limb and create this bizarre characterization, very unsettling. And Charlie didn't work. I think the Mad Hatter works better.
I think it works with the Mad Hatter with his orange hair and that funny gap in his
It works. It doesn't dominate the film.
No, it doesn't.
No,
and you
it
wonder,
supports it.
Who is this guy? But that's what you should be wondering. He's a mysterious character.
That's
He's
right.
mad. He's mad as a hatter.
That's right.
Okay. Now that's a miracle. Hold on, let's see. Now, Corpse Bride, starring Tim Burton with Johnny Depp, has a comedy and the real personality. Gene liked the picture was really fantastic, and as you can see, one of the most dream for the musical, and it's the real personality who call us somebody really make a mistake, and it's really fantastic too.
A lot of fun. And there's a look at funny stuff. Edward would certainly be able to understand this film. Okay, next movie. Now let's look at Sleepy Hollow.
Musical Sweeney Todd took 28 bleeding
This is a
years to move
surprisingly
from
good
Broadway
movie, a thriller
to
laced
the
with lots of
movies. If you
suspense
know
and
the
even
show,
more sly
if you don't,
humor.
you're bound to
as
be
Johnny
startled
Depp
by the
creates an
results.
Ichabod Crane who
It
is
opens
just a
next
little
week,
bit
and
of
this
a
is an
coward
early
when
review.
it comes to
Sweeney
Headless
Todd is
Horseman,
director
as
Tim
indeed
Burton's
who would
sixth
not be.
collaboration with
The
Johnny
movie's been
Depp,
directed by
who
Tim
stars
Burton,
as the
master
demon
of
barber
special
of
effects, who
19th
adds
century
to
London.
Beetlejuice,
Shipped
Edward
off from
Scissorhands,
Australia on
Nightmare
false
Before
charges,
Christmas, and
Sweeney
Batman.
returns to Fleet Street, and here, Telephone Carter delivers some sinister news
about a
regarding
headless horseman
Sweeney's
who is beheading
long-lost
victims
wife and
in the small
daughter.
town of Sleepy Hollow. Often do I have to tell you there is no horseman.
Would. Finally, someone has done justice to a Stephen Sondheim musical on screen.
I really had a
Very
good
well
time
done, Michael. I agree. Someone
I had
has
a
done
good
justice
time, too,
to a
in
Stephen
this
Sondheim
over
musical
his head.
on screen.
I really had a good time at Sleepy Hollow.
Very well done, Michael. I agree with you. And you're right about Johnny Depp. He doesn't have a big Broadway voice, but he doesn't need it for this role. Obviously, for the film. And I'm sure he's going to get an Oscar nomination, and he may win for this role.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you're saying about Tim Burton's direction. The material is so loony and dark and strict.
Taking me any further.
One whole day. A poor boy named Charlie Bucket finds one of 5 golden tickets good for admission to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It opens next week. This is an early review. And the movie is and the Chocolate Factory. It opens next week. This is an early review. And the movie is a retelling of the classic novel and the 1971 film. The new director this time is Tim Burton, whose visual imagination fills the movie with remarkable sights, especially inside. I was also impressed by the wild visual inventions in Tim Burton's direction and by the imagination in the screenplay by John August, so thumbs up.
I laugh every time I see him on the David Letterman show. I once tried it, couldn't get into one of the sold-out concerts, and I went to this movie expecting to laugh my head off. I didn't think he was funny at all in the movie. I was shocked. Here's a typically dumb moment. Works best in 7-minute bits in the Letterman show. That's the only conclusion I can draw from my negative response to this movie that just didn't make it for me. Well, I didn't see the movie. It came out while I was on vacation when I...
TV show, too. Grown-ups are watching it.
Well, I tell you, I didn't like the picture when it came out. I have enjoyed this character when he's had short bits on TV talk.
Walked into this movie knowing nothing about it. I didn't know it was going to... As I look at it, the thing that struck me most of all was the art direction. Gotham's...
And I think at its best, it...
Pieces, set design, character...
I don't even know if it's that long without the credit.
Keys and firecrackers and smarmy put down, but actually I didn't take into account
as much as this guy, and the Strangelove stuff really just shows you how